The Asheville locker room is now open. All right, first up tonight are the UNC Asheville Bulldogs. Bulldogs represented tonight by head coach Brenda Mock-Kirkpatrick, student athletes Jatori Major, and Kyla Webb. We'll take an opening statement from Coach, take questions for just the student athletes first. After we dismiss them, then we'll take questions for Coach Mock. So, Coach, please open it up.
Sure. First on the game, obviously, South Carolina was very focused. I thought early on we did some good things. We were executing well against their pressure. And I was very proud of us coming in with a very aggressive mentality, but also understanding we needed to execute and stick to the game plan defensively and offensively. And really in that first probably 6 minutes, we were doing the best job that we did all game, obviously. I think when you're giving an already very talented team breakaway layups when we have loose ball turnovers, and then also second chance points, in particular to Alicia Gray, who had a phenomenal opening half on offensive rebounds, then you're going to be in some trouble. Those things have to go really well. You have to dominate those areas, and we did not. We knew those. That was our focus going in. Offensively was dead ball turnovers. We knew we were going to have some, but if we were in trouble, it can't be a loose ball. And then to try to take away some of their second chance points. But credit South Carolina. They're a phenomenal team. It was a privilege to play them. There's some things we obviously could have done better, but I'm proud of our kids' effort as well. And just for this to be the culmination of the season, this season has been, I just told my kids in the locker room, a season full of adversity, but also a season full of opportunity to show the character of UNC Asheville women's basketball. And I think we did that today. Even in a 50-point loss, I know that's hard to do, but I think our kids, for the better part of the game, stuck to what we were trying to do. They kept fighting, and that's really the epitome of what we've done all year. So extremely pleased with our kids. I'm going to miss this one right here next to me a whole lot, and the 4 seniors that chose to come here and play for me in the first place. They took a chance on me. I certainly didn't take a chance on them. They've made me look really good in these past 2 years with back-to-back championships. So really going to miss them, and I'll open that up.
Questions for the student athletes, please raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you. You got Josh in front. Don't be shy.
Jatori, was there a moment in the first half where you felt like it was slipping away, or did it just sort of happen gradually? Was there a key point there?
I never felt like it was slipping away. I know they were up on us pretty bad at some point, but my mentality was just to play hard and keep doing what we're doing, focus on the little things and not the score as much as the little things. Focus on the score.
Ben.
Don't focus on. Yeah, okay, I said it right. Okay, cool. I was just making sure.
For both the players, as they kind of pulled away, did you feel like they turned the pressure up at all, or it was just kind of a matter of that had been there the whole game, but you guys just started struggling a little more with it?
I definitely think they turned it up. They switched their defenses. They pressed us, and they trapped us a little bit more. And we're supposed to be strong with the ball, but we were just a little loose, and that's what led to all their transition points.
Kyle, you want to add to that?
Oh, I definitely agree. I feel like once they saw that they could pick the ball away from us, that's when they really amped it up. And I think this is a good learning point moving forward, that we have to be aggressive with the ball. I'm really grateful that they pressured us, because now we know where our weaknesses are. And, yeah.
Got a question in the back.
When you come to an environment like this, I mean, obviously it's the NCAA tournament, but it's a home game for them essentially. You come down here, they have the attendance record of the last 3 years. I mean, what was that feeling like when you step into a stadium like this? Because not a lot of women basketball players get to experience something like that.
Honestly, I think once you get in the flow of the game, I don't even think you really notice the audience anymore. I feel like you notice them during warm-ups. You're like, oh, wow, popcorn smells good, like, ooh. But once you're in there and you know you have to D somebody up and you have to score on somebody, I don't even think the audience really faced us at that point.
I agree with her.
Jeffrey.
Shatori, has the coach ever picked you up and given you a hug like that, like she did at the end of the game? And just can you kind of talk about what it's been like for 4 years going from a team with 2 wins to back-to-back NCAA tournament appearances?
She picked me up one other time, and that was when we won our Big South championship. And I can't remember your other question, but
What's it been like going from a 2 wins to back-to-back NCAA tournaments, kind of building this program up?
It's been an incredible journey. Just the work we've put in since I've been here to now, it's really an incredible feeling. I can't really describe it. I'm trying to, but I can't find words that really describe how amazing it's been to go from winning 9 games my sophomore year. I think it was 9 games. To the next year going 26-7 or something. But it's really incredible. She's been an awesome coach, one of the best people I've ever met. Just want to throw that in there already.
Well said. Any other questions for the student athletes? No? You guys can free to go.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Open it up now for questions for Coach Mock. Got one here. Go ahead and start in the back there and then come up here in front.
Coach, can you talk a little bit about their pressure there at the beginning of the second quarter? It seemed the first quarter they really allowed you guys to kind of get in your offense and score and stay in this game, but once they switched gears and pressed, that's when things kind of got out of hand. Can you talk a little bit about that and how you were able to kind of survive the press?
Sure. At the beginning of the game, I will agree with you. I think they were not pressuring as much as potentially we expected. I actually went back and watched the last year's Jacksonville, South Carolina game just to see at the beginning what Dawn chose to do in that situation. She's been a 1 seed. I've never been a 16 seed, so I wanted to see, what is she going to do? And it's interesting that she did amp things up in the second quarter of last year's game. So we told our kids, if it's not at the beginning, it's coming. You know that pressure is coming, in terms of what they knew we ran a lot of ball screen action. So I wasn't surprised. I knew the hedge was coming, and then they opportunistically trapped us as well, and that's bothersome. We don't face that a lot in our league. I did not have our kids prepared for the trapping. She put a little 1-3-1 out there, and we were not prepared for that, and as we should not have been. I mean, I'm watching enough games. I don't think that's bad scouting. I think she's going to have to make some adjustments going forward. She's had a couple of weeks to work on it with the 4-guard lineup, which I thought they utilized pretty well. So, of course, she needs to throw some different defensive looks, because there's going to be some other teams down the road that are probably going to challenge them a little bit more in terms of just going man for 40 minutes. But they did a great job of adjusting that and trying to take us out of the game because we were executing our stuff and we were hitting shots. We continued to get some of those shots, but it's always the mentality with which you shoot. And now that we were a little bit rattled, and the game was slipping away, I don't think we were shooting as confidently as we were at the beginning of the game. So that pressure certainly affected us.
Right here in front.
Coach, when you get back at it next season in November, what's going to motivate you from this experience next year?
Well, I don't know that this experience in particular is going to be the motivator. I think it's looking at the season, the body of work of the whole season. There are some things that I did certainly last year. I mean, we were the regular season champs. We were, the tournament champs. And I think there's some things that I could have done better in the off season. We weren't resting on our laurels. We were working hard, but I think dealing with success, that was a little bit of a problem for us. I think that having expectations, which is where you want to be, but having expectations on the program. I think we had the 12 returners from last year's team coming into this year's season that didn't quite know what to do with that. And it really affected us in the beginning of the season. And then obviously we turned it around, and this year was really a storybook ending for us outside of that 50-point loss. That's not storybook, but outside of that, just being here, it tells really the story of our response to adversity. So I'm going to do some things a little bit differently in the off season, but we've got an entirely different roster, not an entirely different roster, but a much different roster coming in next year. Four new kids coming in, 4 leaving, so the dynamic of the team will change as well. So I'm looking forward to it. I've learned a ton as a head coach this year. This might be the year that I've learned the most. Last year I was big Big South Coach of the Year. I have no idea why. You know, I had a lot of talent, and the talent worked hard. I probably should have gotten it this year because this was a whole heck of a lot harder to do what we did, and that wasn't me. I shouldn't have got it. I'm in jest saying that, understand. But these kids did the work. But this year was a whole heck of a lot harder to get to the championship. You know what I mean?
TB in the back.
Right over here, Coach. You kind of just touched on it, but I wanted to kind of get your thoughts on where you saw this team kind of turn it around. You know, you come into the season with the expectations of winning the Big South. You have the injuries. You go through all the adversity. What was the moment, I guess, that your girls decided, you know, this is the turnaround and this is, you know, how we got to this point?
If I had to point to one moment, I would say it was after our Charleston Southern loss at Charleston Southern, a game that, you know, and Charleston Southern had a good season, but I didn't think we should have dropped the game down there. We didn't play well at all. We didn't play with the enthusiasm and heart and character and grit that we normally do. And that kid sitting beside me right there, Shatori Major, spoke up after the game. You know, I addressed the team, and then she raised her hand. She said, "Coach Mock, I want to speak to the team." And what she said to her teammates in that moment, she really took the burden of leadership on. And she had never done that in her career. I mean, she scored a lot of points, and she's been a pivotal person in our program, an integral part of this rebuilding process, but never in a leadership role. And at that moment, those kids looked at her and they said, all right, you know, she said, we're not going out this way. I don't want my senior year to go this way. We're better than this. And we flipped right there. I've never seen something like that. It was really awesome. There were a lot of other little things, but just to answer your question, that's probably a big moment for us.
Brian.
Kind of along those same lines as you hear Satori talking about how great it's been and how much it takes to get to this point, but then hear Kyla talking about, you know, hey, this is what we got to do next year. Is it nice to hear that the program's at the level of that area that you kind of want to get it to 4 years in?
Yes. I mean, no doubt. You know, these kids, I think they already understand. I am blessed with a group, too. They're just very intelligent. I mean, our team GPA, I think they overthink things sometimes. But they're constantly analyzing and thinking about ways to get better. Sometimes overthinking things. I think that's the challenge with a bunch, but they've made me a better coach. I mean, I've had to, you know, address some of their questions differently, and I mean, they're always thinking the game and how to get better. So absolutely, it's encouraging to hear that. I think she's learned a lot, and I'll say something about what she was saying was authentic. I do think these kids were ready for the environment. You know, I think last year's experience was really helpful, and we tried to use this awesome crowd, by the way. South Carolina, what Dawn has done here is not just great for South Carolina, that's great for the women's game. But we were a little bit more prepared for that this year. And, you know, so I was encouraged to hear her say she wants to build on that. Mm-hmm.
Anything else for Coach? Got one more.
Coach, you've been in this game a long time. You've seen some very good programs throughout your time as a coach. Compare this year's team, the one that you just faced without Elena Coates. Is this team a legit contender to win the whole thing? Obviously, UConn would be the favorite, but just looking at this team, even without Coates.
I think so. I think, I think one thing that'll help them, and they didn't shoot it as well from the three, but if Kayla Davis is hitting from outside the arc, it's going to be really tough to defend them. Our game plan going in was to gap and gas, so give a step, cushion off, and y'all saw early on it burned us, and I kind of just shook my head. You know, what are you going to do? You can't go out and really D them up unless you're a team like Mississippi State or something like that. If they can hit the long ball, and continue to shoot, you know, 56, 57%, then yes, you know, I think they can. You know, and I haven't studied every single team and all the number one seed, but from what I see, it's the grit and the character. If they're willing to go in and be physical and get offensive rebounds, and they're shooting the ball well, then yes, I think they could go down to the five. I would not be surprised to see them in Dallas whatsoever.
All right, with that, we'll wrap it up. Appreciate you, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you.